Welcome back to Sensitive and Self-Assured. Before we get to part 2 of my conversation with Randi, let me tell you how I know you are in the right place. You feel everything. At some point, you started to believe that was the problem. My name is Alyssa, a highly sensitive woman who stopped trying to fix herself and started learning to trust herself instead. This podcast is for the woman who edits herself before she speaks, loses herself in relationships, and still quietly wonders if there is something just simply wrong with her. There is nothing wrong with you. Your sensitivity isn't a problem to fix, and self-assurance isn't out of reach. They belong together, and this is where the two meet. If you listened to part 1 of this conversation, you know that we went deep. We talked about control and surrender and the armor that we build around ourselves to stay safe. If you haven't listened yet, I highly recommend that you go back and listen to part 1 first, because then this part will land so much deeper. And today, Randi and I are picking up right where we left off. This half of the conversation, we get personal in a different way. We're talking about the stories that we attach to our own emotions, why the people we love sometimes go quiet when the big feelings show up, and what it looks like when a man and a woman experience the same situation and they respond in completely different ways. Let's get to it. One of the things that you were talking about, yes, thank you, Brene Brown, for all of the work that she has done and what she has unlocked for so many of us. But you were talking about the power of vulnerability and our definitions of things. And one thing that came to mind is, especially for highly sensitive women, we so often are afraid of those big emotions because we give them all of these definitions and meaning. And speaking of my partner, he and I were having a conversation. It's been several months ago now, but he was having some emotions in the moment. And he talked about how a lot of times he won't ask me questions because he doesn't want to evoke big emotions in me, because for him, he has these definitions and he doesn't like the feeling that comes up in him. And we just had a conversation about how it just looks different. And my strength to be able to manage those big emotions on a daily basis looks different than his strength to manage them when they come up every once in a while. And so I'm just curious, when we're talking about definitions of things and specifically strength, what is your definition of strength at this stage in your life, in your mid-40s?
Yeah, that's such a good question. Do you mind if I tab that for a second? Because you just said something that I would love to touch on with your partner, especially with men and women and the dynamics, because there's such a difference between how women emote and feel and how men emote and feel. One of the things that has been really freeing for me in a relationship with men is allowing them to know that I'm okay with my feelings. I'm okay with feeling disappointed. In fact, I know it's inevitable. I'm okay with feeling let down or feeling hurt or whatever that is, because part of what happens with men typically is when we feel an emotion, because they're hardwired to protect us, they make it mean that they did something wrong. And that's why the emotion is so big for them, because they literally can't handle that. So if you have a man who's shutting down, it's because his mind has convinced him he can't make you happy and he can't give you what you need. And sometimes that might be the case. That just might be the case. He's not able to do it. But what I have found has helped so much is saying, hey, by the way, like, I just want you to know, like, I'm okay with disappointment. Now, if it's happening every day and like, there's no working with it, that's a different story, right? This isn't like you're disappointed 24/7 and you're making that okay. This is like, in life, as humans, we're going to feel disappointment and it's okay. It doesn't mean that you're bad. It doesn't mean I'm mad at you. And that has been beyond freeing and life-changing. Because again, as a collective, if we just took away the meaning to feelings and knew that we were all natural feelers and they didn't have any meaning, it was okay, that would change the planet.
Yes. And he and I have had lots of conversations because for him, tears mean one specific emotion. They mean sadness. And I'm like, oh, listen, buddy, all emotions come out of me in tears.
A lot of men think
That is,
that.
yeah. So that is not probably the
And then
majority of the time.
sadness is bad. Disappointment is bad. It's like, but no, it's actually human. It's actually just human. And as women, if we just get permission to feel, we're like, oh, thanks, let's go back to having fun now. It's like fascinating, but actually so cool when you really get it.
Yeah.
So,
And for so long, I was in that, oh, don't let whoever, whether it's a partner, a friend, a coworker, whatever, don't let them see me cry because tears are a bad thing. And now if anyone tells me don't cry, I'm like, no, it's all good. This is how my body processes emotions. I'm not bothered by my tears. And if you are, you're going to have to figure that out on your own in a very
absolutely.
kind, loving way.
Absolutely.
Don't get me wrong, but
Absolutely. Yep. Okay. Back to your question. Can you repeat it one more time?
yes, I was just asking what your definition of strength is at this stage in your life.
Yeah. So for me, it has to do with the way that I feel about myself. So the more that I have, again, made myself a priority, become my own best friend, learned how to self-soothe and regulate, learned how to show up for me no matter what, learned how to respond versus react, let go of the meanings, feel my feelings, be uncomfortable, all the things we're talking about today. That has become my top priority. Well, ever since it has become my top priority, I've never felt stronger. So to me, the strength is about your inner self. Because again, this is the magic that can never be taken away from you. The relationship you have with yourself is the only one that can never be taken away. It's the only one that will last a lifetime. Because even if you have people in your life, like a partner or a loved one or a family, that you're like, this is the best relationship I've ever had, like someone's going to pass at some point. This is why it's a really good idea to get on board with disappointment and with pain and with feelings that are challenging, because it's inevitable, you guys. At the end, we're all transitioning, and also it's inevitable as a part of life. And it just becomes more fun when we accept that. So that is what I believe real strength is. Not, feeling powerful over other people or having control or having everything figured out. I think real maturity is when you realize you don't have anything figured out and you're constantly a student. You're constantly open and receptive. That's why I always tell my clients, like, just so you know, I'm in this journey with you. We're walking this together. This isn't about me being perfect. This is just about, maybe I go a little faster because my commitment level is very discerned. And so something will come up and I get it fast, but this is also taking me years. I've been doing this work for like 25 plus years. So that's what I think strength really means to me.
That was so beautiful and so well said. And like I could visually kind of see you doing the things the way that you described it. Oh, it was just so good.
Thanks, girl.
This conversation, I have had goosebumps. I have been emotional. I'm actually a little bit like hot just because it's been so good. And I know the people listening are going to want to know more about you. So if they do, and they want to find out more about you and the work that you do, where can they find you?
Yeah. So everything's pretty simple across the board. It's my first and last name. So Randi Halaway. My name's a little unique. So it's Randi. And then Halaway is Halaway. So randihalaway.com, at Randi Halaway on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, Randi at randihalaway.com to email me. But there's tons of ways to connect with me on any of those platforms. And anyone who's interested in just going deeper with understanding self better, stepping into your power, and learning how to become what I call a high level navigator. So fear doesn't have to run the show. I'd love to have a conversation. I also have some free resources for you guys if you would like. I do have a monthly membership where I take people through this process if you're wanting to get started and really making yourself a priority. I'm going to have a discount for your listeners as well. But if anyone wants to go really, really like deep in this and they're like, you know what, I'm ready. Definitely reach out. I do complimentary discovery calls too, just to see if it's a fit to potentially like work together and see if I can support you in really stepping into not only your power, but to your next level of self and ultimately life.
Awesome. We will link all of those things in the show notes so that you have easy access. And just thank you so much again for being here. And for those of you who are listening, I just want to remind you that you were never meant to abandon yourself to get through life. You were meant to live it, sensitive and self-assured. Until next time, take care.